I've got a 24-year-old son. What would be your biggest piece of advice for a younger listener who's been tuning in to us today on how they should consider approaching the next decade of their lives if they want to achieve peak performance in it?
So two answers here. One, I want to point out we were talking about it, but like let's just say it. Peak performance aging starts young. The psychological identity has to be solved by 30, or your 30s are going to suck and your 40s are going to be much more. Everything gets harder. There's these psychological developmental gateways that are really important. Lifelong learning underpins peak performance aging. Expertise and wisdom are how we stave off cognitive decline. Gnar Country is the neurologist who really, he's the one who figured out that wisdom helps stave off cognitive decline. Yaakov Stern is the guy who sort of figured out that expertise helps. But as Elkanon says, start young, right? In terms of like laying the foundation for lifelong learning, expertise, and wisdom. And there's physical stuff that if you can lay it down in your 20s and your 30s, it's going to just, everything's going to get substantially easier later on. But in terms of general peak performance, I always say, and this is what I say in Art of Impossible, one of the interesting things that we've learned over the past couple of decades is there's an order to the process. From an evolutionary perspective, certain skills are designed to come online before certain skills. And I said the top of the show that on the cognitive side of peak performance, and this is really across the boards, it starts with motivation. And when you talk about motivation, we actually know, where does motivation start? And well, one, motivation starts actually with money on the safety and security side. What the research shows, if you cannot pay your bills, if you are living under fiscal stress, you have to solve that challenge before you can solve a lot of other challenges. But the research shows you don't have to make a lot of money to solve that challenge. The research shows that you literally like a little bit above the poverty line, you got to pay all your bills and have a little left over for fun. And for an American family, when the research was done in the 90s, that was $70,000 a year. It's now, I think, $110,000 a year for a family. I don't know what the numbers are for individuals, but you got to start there. But let's say that's taken care of. Let's say you can pay your bills. Where do you go next? The research is unbelievably clear. You start with the foundational, intrinsic, internal motivator, which is curiosity. Curiosity is where all of this starts, including if you're interested in shifting your mindset around aging, got to start with curiosity, right? It's got to start with, oh, wow, what might be possible in the second half of my life, right? Like that's where all this starts. And you really want to go deeper into that. I covered in both Gnar Country and Art of Impossible.